All right, everybody. Welcome back to another week, another fantastic week of Football Wichita Live, here broadcast live from the Monarch in Wichita, Kansas, down in the historic Delano district. With me, as always, the Johnny Freedom.
Hello,
Hello,
everyone.
John.
It doesn't seem right. Something seems wrong. Something seems like we missed something.
Something seems wrong with the world. We will get there soon. Tim O'Brim.
It's Obrahim, the bear Jew.
The bear Jew. Hello, Timothy.
Hey guys,
Welcome
nice
back.
to be here. It's always nice to be here.
And finally back. We thought that he died and was drowning in a ditch somewhere.
I kind of did.
Zach Light.
Oh, guys.
I miss Zach like the desert misses the rain, man.
Well,
Two things. It's great to be back. I'm also, number two, Tim and I feel left out that we don't have awesome hats like you guys.
I actually have a hat.
Wait, you didn't wear it.
Would you wear one of these hats, though, dude?
Probably.
You see how
I
you
certainly
see
wear
how
it to
much
the Monarch
Tim
on
likes the
Wednesday
hat.
nights.
The hat is at the top of my hat collection right now.
Yeah,
He
by
doesn't-
top
he's
the-
got a full head of
the
hair,
top
so he
of his
doesn't wear
closet.
hats, man. Yeah.
Well, we've got a rather interesting show that we get to do this week due to the recent developments in the league or
Shenanigans.
leagues, plural.
God, there's so much stuff to talk about in international soccer. I mean, Barcelona beat the crap out of Bayern Munich. I mean, there's so much to talk about.
Leo, two
And all-
goals.
And I got a feeling that all we're going to be talking about is the MASL tonight and
Well,
that other league.
Yeah, for those of well, I'm sure pretty much
What other league?
everybody. Yeah, I'm sure pretty much everyone knows what's going on. Saturday morning on Kick This, the Soccer Sam radio show, Ed Hale appeared and let everyone know that he was withdrawing his team from the MASL, starting his own league, and had an unknown number of current MASL teams that were going to be going with him, and a couple of
None of which have
unannounced.
announced, right?
Nobody has officially announced.
I thought
It
that
was-
was supposed to go down today.
Well, there was supposed to be a press release today with the teams as they stand as of today, with the name of this new league. But John, a couple things changed as the week progressed. What originally started as a fairly categorical statement of I'm taking my team out of the league and starting my own,
I'm taking my ball and I'm going home.
we started to see some softer toned messages coming from some of the folks out east, including one, Soccer Sam. He's the owner of Rochester. He's going to be on the show here about 8:30 Central.
Can't wait to talk to him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So hopefully the lack of an announcement today means that some progress is being made.
No news is good news in this case.
Because as we said, we put out a press release earlier in the week, and as we've discussed here internally, and as we said in our press release, there just isn't anything that there is no way in general that going back to two leagues is good for the sport of indoor soccer. Set aside for a minute the the legalities or the ill-advised legal structures and all that kind of stuff. Set it aside for a minute and just talk about the sport in general, which finally started to get some unified traction this season and made some positive steps in the owners meeting.
This
This is
first
not
season
good.
with a combined league. Let's mention that. This is the first season with the combined league. PASL.
Since
And it-
when? Since the late 70s?
Well, no, I think there's been occasions, and that's something that
1990.
we're going to talk to Alan about. That's one of the questions I want to talk to Alan about. Is how often have we had a league like the MASL, where it was the only indoor league?
Well, meanwhile, you have fans across the United States wondering: is my team going with Ed Hale? Is my team staying in the MASL? Will I have a team? So I think there's been a great deal of distress.
Yeah, what
Maybe Soccer Sam will answer that tonight.
we'll see. What went from some some certainty, at least as far as the league was concerned. Obviously, some individual cities still had their questions as to whether or not their teams were going to be viable and make it on into next year. It looked good for the league in general, and now this huge amount of uncertainty has been injected again to an already and with some justification disgruntled fan base, and I'll put myself in that category.
Yeah. This whole situation screams putting the entire sport on life support. Think back to the late 1970s, early 1980s, the dissolve of the original NASL when it comes to the outdoor game, and then you had all these multiple leagues popping up to, being, hey, we're the best, we're the top division, no, we're the top division. And finally it took a FIFA mandate for the 1994 World Cup to
get an professional outdoor league,
a top flight professional outdoor
Without
league established in this
right.
country. But here's the problem. There's no world governing body that's going to go to U.S. Soccer and be like, hey, you got to have a top flight unified indoor soccer league, because the sport's not recognized by FIFA.
Which
means, and there are top flight, there's organizations that govern the body. If I don't know much about them, I know there was an Arena Soccer World Cup, but who's going to step in to make this work?
It means
nobody.
They have to police themselves.
Yes, they have to step up and figure this out.
Which means they have to decide to put the sport above other things.
Yeah, otherwise you're going to run the risk of simply dissolving interest in the sport. There's too many different leagues to keep track of.
Well, let's get Alan Bathrop. He's going to be the first one that we talk to tonight. Alan is a longtime affiliate of the Dallas Sidekicks. He's their team historian. The guy knows all kinds of people in the league. We want to kind of get his take and his opinion on, what he thinks. First of all, what is this all about? What does he think it means? And then after we wrap up with Alan, we've got Soccer Sam that's going to be coming on. And then after that, Kim Roentved. He's been a fixture and a legend in indoor soccer for a long, long time. He's going to be here. We're going to be able to talk to him a little bit, get his thoughts on the whole situation overall, and also on what it means here in Wichita, because Wichita is in an unusual position right now. Alan, are you with us?
I am indeed.
Well, Alan, I know you and I spoke a little bit earlier in the week when we wanted to get you on the show. You've been around the league a long time. You know a lot of folks in the league. Give me your take on what this whole thing is about.
Let's take it from a 180-degree angle from what we've been trying to do since Friday evening when this story broke. We've been trying to figure out what this is. Let's actually talk about what this is not. In my opinion, there are three things that this is not. First of all, this is not about liability. One of your next guest is going to talk about how a single entity structure would give all of the current team owners liability for anything that happened, including that unfortunate incident in Seattle where there is illegal trouble going on right now. In the league meetings, when that subject was broached, the owner of San Diego stood up and said, I am going to personally indemnify the league for any losses that occur in that situation. If it's about being liable, I will pay the bill. The owner of Missouri then stood up and said, no, that's not right. I'll put it in writing, but I'll go half with you. So two men in that room immediately stood up and said, this is not an issue. We'll cover it ourselves. We're going to put it in writing right now. So this is not about liability. The second thing this is not about is about whether the single entity structure that the MASL is currently governed under is legal. One of the things that the MASL did when they created this was they hired a sports lawyer based in Milwaukee, as I understand, who had significant experience with this type of thing. He reviewed the governing documents, he helped them create them, and declared this, yes, this is absolutely legal, yes, you can do this, and placed his reputation on the line to state that. Now, that is, Sam may talk to you later about how his lawyers are saying something different, and that is something we can discuss. But in my opinion, is this conversation about whether the structure of the league is legal? No. Third thing this is not about is that this is not about that we didn't have a franchise league. When the initial coming together meeting happened in Allen in early 2013, the PASL owners presented a franchise plan to their former MISL brethren. The owners of Baltimore, Milwaukee, and Missouri turned that offer down and insisted on a single entity structure. That means that there was a franchise league on the table. They chose not to go that way. So this is not about franchise versus single entity. The last thing this is not about is this is not about taking half the league with them. Now, there have been, Sam can tell me if this is, Ed Hale actually said this, but there have been some reports that, half of the league is going to follow us into this new structure if there is such a thing. Why is that not true? Because Milwaukee has said no. Missouri has said no. Dallas has said no. San Diego has said no. And Monterey has said no. Tacoma has said no. That's 6 right there. Now, with Monterey comes Brownsville and Saltillo. They're too close to each other. They're not leaving. With Dallas comes Tulsa. Tulsa is not going anywhere. With San Diego goes Ontario. They're not leaving. With Milwaukee, probably goes Detroit, although Detroit hasn't said anything, and Chicago hasn't said anything. So you get the idea. I just mentioned 11 teams right there. Half the league is not going. So what is this about? In my opinion, this is about power. This is to use a soccer term, a power play by Ed Hale to get something. Now, what that something is, we don't quite know yet. And we've got some speculation. Could it be something between him and the Missouri owner? Possibly. But this is something that happened last year where decisions were made, and Ed Hale and the group of owners from the former MISL didn't like it, and so they raised a significant fuss and got their way. Is he trying to do it again? Let's talk about that.
Well, Alan, I guess what seems strange is that, and I want to go back to a point you just made a second ago, that this isn't, about the, franchise versus single entity or the legal structure of the league, because that's been, the number one, that's been the number one issue that we have heard, through what little information has come out officially, that's what the issue is. My question is, and it's what we put in our press release, if that's the case, though, if the legal structure is really what was at least starting this argument that's now led to this potential schism in indoor soccer, surely a group of individuals that have been around the game as long as these guys have, and have seen the things that they've seen in the league, and and listen, they're smart guys. You don't get to the level of the ownership of Kansas City or Ed Hale or Soccer Sam or Ronnie Davis or any of those guys by Phil Salvaggio by being dumb. I mean, they're smart guys. How come we can't get to some form of an agreement that addresses this legal concern, if that's what it is, and put it aside? Or is that really truly not an issue?
I don't think it's the issue. I really don't, because here's the other thing that tells me that this is not about starting a new league. If once the story had broken, if this truly had been about starting a new league, Baltimore's website would have the MASL logo off of it. There would have been a press release Friday night saying we're withdrawing, and here's the reasons why. And if that had happened, once the story had broken, even if those two things hadn't happened, the soccer beat writer for the Baltimore Sun would have been on the phone to Ed Hale, and there'd have been a story on it Saturday or Sunday. That didn't happen. And there are also potential legal issues that is in dispute. We don't know. None of us have actually seen the contracts, but it has been reported a number of times that there are no compete clauses in the team agreements. If you were to make those announcements, and if you truly wanted to go forward with that, that could be considered, there'd be legal trouble. You'd be going to court. You spend a lot of time in court. You don't want to do that because that's a lot of money, and that doesn't build up the sport. And who wants to go into business with expansion teams with somebody being sued because he just left the other league?
Go ahead, Tim.
Alan, this is Tim O'Brien.
Hey, Tim.
Hey, it sounds like the when you have when maybe two parties that are having, as a personality conflict, it sounds like there's need for an honest broker. Who do you think could be an honest broker in a situation like this?
I think Mr. Davis in Dallas and a couple of the other owners, if not the new president of the league, could get these two gentlemen perhaps to sit down or get them on a conference call and figure out what exactly the problem is. Now, I'm making an assumption that Baltimore and Missouri have a problem. And there are pretty good reasons why they'd have a problem after that practice that happens in the semifinals. But is it really intelligent, and do we really believe that Baltimore is trying to schism the league because Ed Hale didn't get an apology from Brad Likens? Doesn't make sense.
Man, John, he never apologizes to me, but I still sit down next to him. Now, I want to stick a pin through his neck, but I'm sorry, John. It's the truth.
Well, I'm sorry that you feel that way. Alan, it's Johnny Freedom. How you doing, man? Thanks for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
No, glad to do it.
First of all, you had some interesting Facebook contact with some of the Baltimore fans last week. We got to talk about that a little bit. They don't know who you are, do they, Alan?
I don't think so. It's just a matter of it. And I am the only expertise I have in this, and this conversation, by the way, has no official connection to the sidekicks. I'm speaking only for myself.
Sure.
It's just that I've been around the sport for a long time. I've just watched it and I've researched it, and being the kicks historian, trying to figure out not only our own club's history, but what are the history of the clubs we've played with. That means I've spent a lot of time in the library, a lot of time reading microfilm, which tells you how long ago we've been doing this. So you learn things as you go along, and it's very interesting to see people go, wait a minute, who are you to be saying that? Well, let me pull up let me show you the article where that happened. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had some interesting feedback, and and things got a little bit heated, and I don't always necessarily mind when people stand up for their franchise or stand up for their owner if they have an owner that's worth standing up for. And frankly, Ed Hale has been, he has invested, in arguably a lot of money in his teams and keeping a team in Baltimore. I believe, and you probably be the person that probably can answer this question, the longest running indoor franchise in indoor soccer history.
That is the Milwaukee Wave at this moment.
Milwaukee Wave. Baltimore
Milwaukee
been around.
Wave was founded in Baltimore has had two different teams.
Mm-hmm.
The original Blast folded in June of 1990. In early July of 1992. The NPSL issued an expansion franchise to Baltimore about 2 weeks later. So technically, even though a lot of the same personnel played for both the Blast and what was then known as the Spirit, what we now know as the Blast, they were two different teams. So the oldest operating professional team continuously at this moment is the Milwaukee Wave.
So there you go. So Alan shows that he does know a little bit about other teams besides the Dallas Sidekicks. Okay. Go ahead, Kimmy.
There's a great deal of vilification that's gone on Facebook on the various pages the last week. A lot of people really want to have a black hat, white hat on top of various owners, and it doesn't seem to be particularly helpful, nor is it accurate in life ever that there is a black hat and a white hat. Isn't there some sort of gray area here where both these sides could possibly sit down and talk and agree on?
I absolutely believe that. And do I respect what Ed Hale has done over 25 years? Absolutely. If he has not made money, he has not lost a significant amount of money, running the Blast, or he's got enough money to keep them going. That's something to respect. When you are publishing attendance figures of 6,000 a game, that tells me that you got very, very close to that in your building. That's no mean feat. So I have no personal animosity towards Ed Hale at all. So and no one in Dallas does. Yeah,
you were not one of those people, yeah.
I think we all appreciate the fact that Ed Hale, he's put his money where his mouth is. And he's continued to support a team for a lot of years. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Alan, that we're talking about a situation, and I've said it, and I don't mean any disrespect to Ed Hale or anybody in Baltimore. I appreciate the Blast. I have a new recent tattoo that accidentally looks like the Baltimore Blast logo. I'm working on fixing that, by the way. But anyway, it seems to me that Ed didn't get his way, and it was kind of a grab. I'm going to take my ball and I'm going to go home kind of situation. And you're talking to a dude who has money and the finances available. He could actually form his own league. My issue is the same issue that you have. I don't necessarily think all these teams are going to go with him. And one of the things is it seems that where Baltimore goes, Rochester and Syracuse go. And one of the things that I want to say to Sam tonight, and I want your take on it, Alan, and then we'll probably want to let you get back to your family. But I think that I think that they can form an Eastern Division in the MSL without Baltimore. If Detroit stays, if Harrisburg stays, if Rochester stays, and if Syracuse stays, and maybe I think you can operate an Eastern Division with 4 teams, and maybe they can pick up another franchise in that area. I think they can have an Eastern Division without the Baltimore Blast. What do you think?
Is it possible? Yes. Would we be stronger without them? No. Harrisburg benefits by having Baltimore an hour away. Rochester benefits by having Syracuse so close. Now, if it comes down to it and Mr. Hale truly wants to walk away and perhaps risk whatever legal consequences are for that, go ahead. God bless. Off you go.
I agree.
And we'll just keep going with who wants to stay. Now, I know that Dallas is playing next year. Dallas is playing in the MASL. And the other teams who have already made their decisions are going to go forward. We made a lot of progress last Monday. Was it the huge progress that we need? No, but it were steps in the right direction. And did you notice something on all the social media and on Big Soccer? Even in the Dallas Morning News, there were, look at this. This is good news. They made decisions. They announced it. They announced some personnel changes that were good. They did the league said one set of rules. Here's a playoff format. Here's this. And we were all praising them for these are good things. 6 days later, we're fighting at each other's throats.
Yeah, and I think that I think that's one of the most disappointing things, to me about the whole situation, other than the potential damage that's going to be done, is that, damn guys, we finally had, so what I considered the biggest black eyes on this inaugural unified league got addressed. They got addressed in the meeting. And now, for God's sakes, we're talking about breaking up the league.
There was a lot of hope there for a few days.
Yeah, I mean, people were happy.
I was very optimistic.
Everybody agreed for once.
Yeah, that optimism was smashed, in a matter of almost hours.
Well, let's talk about one thing real quick. This situation was probably brewing for long before anybody knew about it. But it would have stayed quiet. Nobody would have known about it had someone in the city of Baltimore, I am not saying that anyone connected to the blast did this, but someone in the city of Baltimore sent the leaked the trouble to a fan in Dallas who has no connection to the Sidekicks other than being a season ticket holder, who then posted that information on social media. You saw what happened.
Oh,
this
yeah.
This could be kept quiet. This could have been an internal dispute that nobody would know about, and we would all solve it and move forward. Once it gets out in public, you see what happens. Yeah,
it created a complete firestorm. Well, Alan, I appreciate you taking the time this evening to join us and talk about it. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of talk to come over the next few days. And we'll let you get back to your family, and we appreciate you coming on, man.
Thanks so much for everything you do, both on the Facebook page and everything else you do for Dallas.
We appreciate that, and we in Dallas are especially looking forward to seeing you guys not only here in Dallas, but I plan on making it up to Hartman or whatever arena you guys are playing in next year, and let's get this done.
All right, well, we'll do it. Thanks again, Alan. We'll talk to you again soon, man.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. Well, Alan Bathrop, boys. Oh, I should introduce our next guest. or the man that's going to be sitting with us for a while, Coach Kim Roentved. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Crazy week, huh?
Crazy week. Thanks for having me on.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
We're glad you came down. Get that mic adjusted there a little bit.
Am I
yeah.
okay
Hey,
now?
there you go. Now you sound good.
Can we offer you a chair?
Yeah. Would you
No, I'm
like
okay
that?
for now. I mean,
All right.
it looks like you ran out of chairs. So I'm okay for now.
Well, Tim, you heard most of the comments, from Alan. What's your take? Is this purely a risk management deal that two parties can't come to terms on?
I suspect not, but it's very difficult to know what's what's the real motivation behind what people are doing when all you have is rumor and conjecture. And but a lot of what Alan said makes a lot of sense. I refuse to see this in terms of, like I said, bad guys and good guys. I'm sure there are some legitimate things that Ed Hale wants that are probably good for the league. At the same time, obviously, like most everyone, I just don't want to see this league break up into two parts like we've had in the past. You just wonder about viability if that were to happen.
Well, I think that's a legitimate concern for a lot of the franchises or a lot of the teams. I should probably not use that word right now. Franchise.
Oh yeah,
That was a bad joke. I'll be here all night, everybody. All night.
Tip your
long.
waiters and waitresses.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see. You guys discuss amongst yourselves for a minute. I'll see if I can get Sam on the line.
I've got a question for Kim. So, after the last season, how do you view, kind of like a state of the union? How do you feel about the state of indoor soccer after, the first season in a long time of a unified league where everybody's playing in one top division?
You know what the bottom line is? We just want to play soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we want to put a good product on the field and have some fun. But I understand all the logistics behind the scenes, and I understand the legal situations that's going on. I'm not an attorney, and some of the language that's spoken in between the owners, and that the best example I can give is Steinbrenner and Jerry Jones. Not everybody likes them, but there's something behind that needs to make sense for leagues to succeed. So what do I see after last year? The fact that we got some good cooking, and there's a lot of positives going on here, and there's a couple of ownerships that needs to sort things out and leave their weapons at home when they go to their owner meetings and see if they can sort it out. I mean, that's where it's at. And I was just thrown in the middle of this. I don't know what Alan from Dallas said. I'm
You know what? It really helps if I turn my microphone on. What a dunce I am sometimes. You wouldn't even believe what Alan said about you, Coach.
It was pretty terrible.
It was horrible.
Yeah, that's because I beat their butt a few times. So take that, Alan.
Yeah. All right. Well, coming on with us now, Soccer Sam from Rochester. Sam, can you hear me?
I can hear you good. Thank you.
Hey, Sam. Well, sitting in right now with me, Coach Kim Roentved, Tim.
Soccer Sam, how are you, buddy?
Coach Kim, man, you are my all-time favorite. How are you, sir?
No, you're my favorite.
Yeah. Oh, here we got a regular bromance brewing.
Yeah. And I owe you one. The time we were late for the game up there, and you brought the limos out. Remember that? We were, yeah, fantastic. And 13,000 people in the arena when they had. Was it somebody from the fire department that died or something like that? It was absolutely a fantastic day and a great day for Rochester just the soccer fans in Rochester. Yeah.
Well, thank you, sir. I mean, that wouldn't have happened if you guys didn't make it.
a long story, but it's almost amazing how Missouri was able to get the roster during a snowstorm and show up for that game and pay tribute to the fallen firefighters.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
There you go. That's what I meant.
Well, Sam, I know it's getting late out there on the East Coast, so I appreciate you taking the time to join us and talk about the goings on. And I'd like to get, kind of get your take of what, we haven't heard any announcement yet, which we were kind of last told was going to come this morning, and the tone seems to have softened a little bit. Is there some progress being made to hopefully, stave off this split and maybe come to some compromise and middle ground and keep a unified league moving forward?
I think from day one, when everything started happening, like mid-season, when the whole Seattle nightmare happened, I think everyone involved wanted it to be a unified league, and everyone wanted to be together. Just the viewpoints were, one group wanted to become a franchise league based on, what had happened and what several owners had been told earlier on in the year. And another group wanted to just stay as is as a single entity, but they're really not a single entity. So that's really what it's about. It's not about guys not really liking each other or stuff that happened on the field. And it's not about egos, and it's not about multi-point scoring or single-point scoring. It's simply about a franchise concept, which, probably 99% of the lawyers in America will tell you is the way to go, or a loose single entity where you got a bunch of 23 guys that are pretty much partners and don't even know each other. And there's only, and then nobody, guys don't want that. And that's the issue more than anything.
So if that's the case, and I know you're involved in those conversations, is it that difficult to find some middle ground where those risks can be mitigated and we can keep this thing together, or are the parties that far apart?
I don't think they're that far apart. I think it's more honestly, it's about one group of people that are attorneys, basically, in my opinion, don't know enough about American business law. They may be great attorneys in what they practice every day, but don't know enough about franchise law, and they're kind of guiding a group of guys saying, hey, what we're doing is okay, don't worry about it, it's fine. But, I've talked to 4 different lawyers since the season has ended. I have crazy fees right now, and attorney fees that I owe people to try to figure out what's the best thing for me and what protects me and my family and my business for the future. And 4 different attorneys from 4 different firms told me the exact same thing. And this is not a franchise, nor is it a single entity league. You need to be one or the other in American sports and American business law. You can't be in this gray area that we're in. And I just hope that the attorneys that are saying that they don't need to be and are against this whole franchise system just realize that they're wrong and just say, hey, guys, if Ed Hale is crazy enough to put up the money that is needed for us to become a franchise system, knowing for a fact that there's no money to be made here in American soccer. You could go back to the old NASL, to the new MLS. Nobody ever really made money yet. I mean, people think that MLS is making money right now, but the investors put up billions and billions of dollars to get it where it is right now. It's still going to take another 20 years for anyone to really make money in outdoor soccer, let alone indoor soccer. So if this guy's crazy enough to risk his money to do this the right way, I don't know why guys are fighting it. It's crazy to me. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Sam, this is Tim O'Brien. Are you saying that if the MASL owners agreed to do a franchise system, that Ed Hale and the other possible teams would stay in the MASL?
Ed Hale tried to get the 6 A-share owners to come together and become a legal American franchise system. And they said they would table it for the league meetings. The league meetings came, they tabled it again. Ed Hale, basically based on advice from his attorneys and advice from attorneys that I know and other team owners know, said, hey, you know what, I'm just taking the bull by the horn. I'm going to get the ball rolling on this. And now he's saying to these guys, hey, look, I'm ready to go here. I got all legal documentation ready to rock and roll, get this done so we could be legal for next season. Those of you that want to join in, it's this much money, and let's just do this. And it's not for everybody. It's not for me. I can't afford to be a franchisor in a soccer system. I don't have that kind of money. I can't absorb, a couple $100,000 a year if the team's failing or there's a lawsuit or whatever the case may be. But there's a few guys in the system that can. And, Phil Salvaggio being one of them, maybe Mike Zimmerman being the other one. I mean, those 3 guys, Ed Hale, Mike Zimmerman, Phil Salvaggio, should probably get together and say, hey, 33 and 3% each. We own the franchise. The committees make the rules. Here's the rules committee, single point scoring, yep, next. 6 foul rule, yep, next. And just rock and roll and make it happen. We want this team in. Yep, they paid their dues, they're in or out, you vote. And I think the issue here, guys, and just jump in if I'm talking too much, the issue here is that some guys think that if you're a franchisor, you call the shots and you lead the company. And that's totally false. If you're the franchisor, in those franchise documents, I own 30, I'm a franchisor of 36 different restaurants. I can't wake up one morning and say, hey, you know what, today I want to make more money and I'm going to charge more fees. Or I want to hire 3 more people, so I'm going to charge these guys more. It's all in writing. It's like a phone book, the contract, and you're more protected. The old PSL owners, they basically had like a Sears oven contract for their franchise, for their agreement. A real franchise agreement is like a phone book, and everything's covered, and it's designed to protect the franchisee. That's why American law created franchises. The franchise, because they want they want to protect that investor guy, that guy that put up his life savings to open up a business. That's what it's about.
So I guess that kind of goes back to a good question, though, that you just asked him is, can we not find, well, this is a little bit of
an honest broker?
Yeah, this is a little bit different than what you asked, but I guess along the same lines is, can we not find some sort of a franchise agreement that everybody can live with, and keep this thing together? I mean, I just can't imagine that there's anybody out there, and we've heard from quite a few people that think at the end of the day, just for the sport in general, that breaking apart into 2 leagues is a good thing for the sport of indoor soccer.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to break up that way. I think, first of all, the franchise agreement you just mentioned, I mean, no one has seen the actual franchise agreement. It needs to be created. It's basically the franchisor has to be approved. And like when I became a franchisor, I mean, I couldn't even have a speeding ticket on my record. I had to clean up. I mean, it's that in depth.
Right.
So for the old PSL guys to get a franchise license, it'd be pretty difficult because of the history of the PSL and teams that have come and gone and teams that have gone bad and folded. It would take years and years, I think, for the old PSL guys that are involved with PSL to get an actual, national franchise license.
Could there be?
I think
you mean for them as franchisees of a new entity?
To be the fransisor.
Okay, for them to be the franchisor, right?
Yeah, it'd be really hard for them because you have to basically put all the cards on the table. So yeah, we ran this loose franchise for 7 years. It was called the PSL. It wasn't really a franchise. It wasn't really a single entity. Slap our hands. We did it wrong. Well, now they have to reach out to every single PSL person that ever owned a PSL franchise and offer them restitution for any money that they invested into this I'm not going to say phony franchise, but this make believe franchise, because you can't charge a fee unless you're a franchise.
But if you
can't charge.
if you go to a situation where kind of maybe some sort of a hybrid, like you said just a minute ago, where you have some of the heavy hitters, the Ed Hales, the Zimmermans, the Salvaggios, who are kind of that franchisor entity, and keep the other guys around as franchisees of that league, which I guess in some ways, even though legally it probably has different consequences, but it's probably not all that different in practice and principle from the A-share group that we had this season, where those guys are almost essentially the franchisor, and everyone still gets to stay together.
Exactly. I mean, Josh, that's the part that I'm like so confused about and so upset about, is that it's no different than it was, only now it's legal and it's protecting everyone. And if somebody in Seattle does something crazy, they can't come after the owner in Rochester or the owner in Missouri. So that's the only difference. But to become a franchise, it's probably going to cost, I would estimate, in the $300,000 range. So if Ed Hale's willing to say, I'm willing to put this money up, let's just do it right. Some people are saying, well, he just wants to lead the room. He wants to be the big shot and the leader and the chief. Is it that, or is he saying, hey, you know what? I just want to do what's right and do this the right way. And if you guys want to join me, put up your $100,000 and put up whatever it takes to do this. Let's just make this happen the right way. And instead, everyone is kind of like doing everything in their power to avoid having to put up the right money to become a franchise. That's what I see. I'm not in these meetings. I'm not going to pretend I'm in these meetings. I'm getting this stuff secondhand, but that's what I've been told.
Well, I'm still going to hold out hope that something gets accomplished here in the next couple weeks or so. Kim?
Hey, Sam, you're absolutely right. You talk too much.
Thank you.
Way too much.
I know. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're my hero. I'm kind of in a dilemma here. I know a little bit about the franchise agreements, but you're talking about protections and all good stuff. Do you think under Ed Hale that everybody is protected better than during the last agreement? And by the way, the PSL you're talking about, you were under the MISL, 2 years ago? Or USL agreement. Doesn't that agreement look a lot like it was written up 2 years ago?
Yeah, the franchise agreement that
without getting into details. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be quick.
All right.
I'll be quick. The MISL agreement is very similar to what NHL is proposing. It's the legal contract. And Kim, you were part of some of those meetings back in the day. I mean, the owners weren't around. The owners of the USL Pro weren't around. They had different committees, Christian committees and companies. So there wasn't like this big leadership struggle thing.
Right. You're absolutely right. And I disagree with what you said earlier, that it has nothing to do with egos, because it does in this case, it does have something to do with egos. And you and I both know that. And I've got to be careful what I say on the radio. But
were you going to tell him that it's because of my ego, Kim?
Yeah,
because we promised we weren't going to talk about that.
It's just ego, Sam.
It's huge.
So I don't think it's just egos. I think when an attorney explains to you what can happen.
Yeah, but who hires the attorneys? I mean, and I love Ed Hale. I mean, and I like Phil, but when you hire an attorney, who's the attorney gonna favor towards? If I go in there and say, I want you to look at this, Attorney Phillips, whatever, right? But you're representing me. Who do you think he's gonna favor, Sam? Really?
Yeah, I mean, again, in my case, I had a neutral party. I wasn't part of the league. I didn't own the PSL. I was trying to join the PSL. My attorney was totally against it. So last year, I decided not to continue. And then I had to change of heart after I realized, Doug Miller wanted to do it, my kids wanted to do it, but it was really about the structure of this entity.
Yeah. No, I know that, and I get that. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, if I
I mean, Kim, I'm not going to say that there's a little bit of ego going on here. There's ego in everything in business, unfortunately, but I think Ed Hale, and despite what people want to say, he's just been part of this for so long that I think he just wants to finally do it right. Where, if in 2 years or 3 years, he needs to move on, at least this is part of a franchise system that you could sell it. Right now, Kim, if I wanted to retire tomorrow and sell the Lancers, nobody that has a good attorney would ever buy my team because it's not part of a franchise system. What are you buying? You're buying basically a piece of paper that is questionably legal.
Yeah.
No one's going to want. That's the problem.
Two things. You would have to be hired as a consultant. Number one. Number two, I totally understand Ed Hale's integrity. I've known him since 1987. That was the first time I met him. So I know what he's all about, and I trust him, and I know he wants to do the right things, But there's always, as you know, there's always two sides to the story.
Yeah, there is, but I think in this case, the franchisees have the franchisors by the what. Bottom line is that the short hairs, because without us, he doesn't have a league. And so if we say, hey, you know what, we don't like this deal, we don't like this thing in your contract, he's gonna sway it. And I was forced to do that when I became a franchise. There were certain things that I wanted to put in the contract that the franchisee said, no. You can't open up a store in a 4-mile radius of our current stores. Right. Okay, fine. I don't want to upset you guys. I'll do whatever you want. So I think we have him, and we could demand what we want him in this contract.
Maybe Football Wichita Live should hire independent attorneys as mediators, Kim. How about that?
But that's not what them.
Sam, do I sound like a radio guy here asking you some difficult question? That's not what I'm doing. That's not what I'm doing.
You guys. I mean, I think you get a mediator, but Josh, I sent you something earlier, and I was hoping you'd get it before the show. But basically, in business law, which pertains to leagues, there's a three-step process you take to see if you're a single entity or you're a franchise. Yeah. And once you demand teams show up and teams are on a schedule and teams have to perform the rules and wear your logo on their jerseys and wear your logo on their field or on their dashboards, you're basically a franchise.
Right.
And there's no gray area around it. That's just what it is. And if it was free and there wasn't a fee, maybe there's a gray area there. But once you pay to play in a professional league, then you either are a franchise or a single entity. And to be a single entity, that means that all the money is in one company, and that's not our case. I don't know Missouri's books. They don't know my books. I don't know Baltimore's books. So we're not
Sam, I know your books. Don't give me any shit. I know your books. Okay.
There's nothing in there, but yeah.
Well, Sam, we know it's getting late out there, so we won't keep you. I do appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. I think it's important that people get to, get to hear what's going on. Still going to hope everything kind of works out. I know that there's some people that are like, well, you know what, let them go. I guess I'm a little bit, am I too touchy-feely, Tim?
Touchy-feely?
Yeah.
No, you're the exact right amount of touchy-feely.
Am I? Yeah, that's not what my wife said.
That's what she told me.
Cow. Well, I hope you paid the electric bill.
One last thing, though, really quick.
Yeah.
The guys that say, hey, let the 3 teams go or the 4 teams that want to leave go, if you take right now the 4 teams that they think want to leave right now this minute, together combined, they probably outdraw and outsell the entire league in ticket sales and sponsorship sales. So if you're trying to grow a league or grow a sport, why would you want to get rid of the 4 top teams in your league that combined outdraw and outsell the rest of the league? That's
Well,
all I got to say.
No, and that's a good point, and that's why nobody's ever heard me or seen me take any hard stance of what, screw it, just let them go, because I think it's bad for the game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the reality of it. But setting, I don't like this owner, I don't like that team. Set all that stuff aside. It's bad for the game. I can't stand the Dallas Cowboys, but I don't want them to leave the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry. Well, again, man, I appreciate it, and hopefully some progress will get made, and I guess we'll wait and see what happens.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
All
Thanks
right.
for coming
Thank
on.
you.
Thank you, Sam.
Bye.
Thanks, Coach. Bye-bye.
Well, none of us are attorneys here at Football Wichita Live, but together I think we would be qualified to possibly be the slow-witted janitor at the law firm, possibly.
I can be an attorney sometimes.
Well, yeah, Super
I
Cam,
don't
he can
know
do
how-
whatever.
I don't know how good I am, but I can be an attorney.
Well, first of all, we have to say after Kim Roentved finishes with soccer, his career as an investigative reporter with 60 Minutes with hard-hitting questions is
Yeah, no kidding. I'm
guaranteed. What talk about some great questions.
Yeah.
Well, that's just because I like Sam. I can,
Yeah, see, when they're
I can give him the tough questions. If you don't like him, you hesitate, right? So, no, super nice guy. Done a great job up there, and absolutely evaluate or appreciate his opinion and whatever he's done, and also the direction they're taking. You gotta respect it because he has some good points. But I told him there's two sides to the story, and we as in the Wichita indoor soccer team, whatever the name might be, B52s for now. We have to do whatever is in our best interest, and that's where we're coming from.
see, you're going to let things slip again. You remember when you came
I
on?
don't want to let.
You remember when you came on the show and you let it slip that you were going to be the coach
That's, I can't
before
do
you
that.
were?
I'm
Because I said, "Oh, welcome, Coach Roentved." And you go, "Well, that's not official yet." And I said, "Well,
I have
that's
to take
you
the
just
fifth amendment.
Well,
Johnny Freedom wants to know if the hooligans are going to stick around in 108.
Johnny, come here. I'll give you mine for a second, and I'm going to go. Oh, okay. John's going to get on. Zach White's going to leave.
Zach, you're
No,
fired.
Kim, it's a question that we have every year. We never know. The supporters section never knows. We never know if we're going to have a section for supporters and drums and the chanting. Do you support that? You
Oh,
support-
my God. You know what? You know how important that is? I mean, that is extremely important.
Well,
I
you're
mean,
from Europe, so I
you-
know
you-
you know. But I'm as part of a management group for a professional indoor team. Some people don't realize. I mean, and I think they're getting around with it more and more. But can you give me a verbal?
Can
that
I just tell you for now, I still haven't been hired yet for next year.
Really, you haven't?
So
Come
You know what?
on.
We're going to make you an offer right now. And listen,
Special
yeah,
correspondent.
we're going to give you $50 a week, cash money though, cash under the table.
It's Canadian.
you sound like Don Corleone. I can't.
I'm gonna make you an offer you can't refuse.
Oh yeah,
that
you
guy.
know, all right, euros, 50
Yeah.
euros a week.
No, the
Cash.
drums and you know what I would like to bring back
Vuvuzelas.
is cheerleaders.
Oh, no,
the-
they
Yeah.
got
The
it.
Angels, yeah.
Yeah.
We like that
the
idea.
Angels. Yeah, there you go.
We've already started setting up a practice facility, an interview room.
Can
mean,
I
we're-
be the judge?
Of course.
It's a very
Golly.
extensive process.
Do we have an idea for a name for him? Because I know Javier Rodriguez had some names for some ideas, for the names of the team.
I
of
think
the
we
girls'
take
team.
I think we take a vote from the fans.
That'd be
the
great. I
names
think that's a
should be.
great idea.
Yeah.
The only thing that Kippenberger and I'm sure Tim's on board with this, is that they have to all be hot looking.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah,
Great
we get the
personalities.
first, we get the first crack. At
Hold
interviewing
on
them.
for just 1 second, okay?
Yep. We're not worried about talent.
I agree that they have to be hot, but you know what? We go around the league and we see a lot of cheerleaders out there, and there's a lot of those comes from dance studios, and they are anywhere from 6, 8, 10, 12 years old. So let's just leave the hot out of that. But they're great dancers, and
Well, we don't want any 6, 8, 10-year-old
Yeah.
Wichita Wings
John,
or Wichita
18
B52
to
dancer.
20.
18 to 20. Yeah, we're good
you're
with that.
getting a yellow card for now, and in a little bit you're getting a red card.
All right, I'm good with it.
All right, so let's talk about Wichita for a minute
Oh,
because
no.
we haven't heard much
Here
you
we
know,
go.
about where Wichita sits, you know, in this whole fiasco that's going on right now. But the reality is Wichita, and we heard this in the PASL, we've heard it from the former MISL teams. Wichita geographically, setting the history aside for a minute, which is long and it's very storied for indoor soccer here. Geographically, Wichita is an extremely important town for either one of these two possible leagues.
No, I think we hold. Honestly, I think we hold aces in our hands because really we bring a lot. Being centrally located, you know, we're connected to the southern teams. We're connected to Dallas. We're connected to Tulsa and all the southern teams. We're also connected to Chicago, Milwaukee. We're connected to the other central teams, St. Louis, Kansas City. You know, so Kim, I think what we do is going to play a huge part in what other teams do. Well, how do you feel about it?
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Maybe you did say it. You know, I mean, it sounds to me like that's the deal, right?
No,
We've talked to Kippenberger and I have talked about it a lot. Wichita's need
you guys talk too much. You guys.
Well, I think
You got that right.
I think we do. We would like to do more, but unfortunately, all we get to do is talk. No, I think, you know, that's why Wichita's been in the leagues and, you know, has been in indoor soccer, has had its finger on the pulse of indoor soccer since 1979 because, you know, no matter what league is out there, we're kind of centrally located. We could be a part of every league.
Yeah. So you just said it there. We are extremely important from a geographical standpoint. I mean, there's no question about it. But let me back off. The perfect world would be, and Sam kind of talked about it a little bit. Let's all get along and let's play soccer and then make this a successful league. And right now, we are not. There's a dilemma, to say the least, right? Hopefully within the next week to 10 days, because we are behind the 8 ball already. There are teams that are still on the bubble, and we need to sell season tickets yesterday. We need to start working on sponsorships yesterday.
We got to start interviewing cheerleaders yesterday.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've got a one-track mind.
Yeah, Josh, you dirty mind. But so you're absolutely right, John. Yeah. Where's Wichita at right now? We know we are an important piece to the puzzle, but we are kind of a little bit on the bubble like some of the other teams, and maybe it takes Wichita to pull the trigger, and other teams will follow. The fact of the matter is we have only gotten a franchise agreement from one party, if I can call it one party. The other party is probably still a week or 10 days away, you know, which is obviously delaying us getting on with hiring front office staff and all that good stuff. So, you know, the sooner the better. And there's just certain things, and I apologize, there's just certain things I can't share with you on the radio.
Of course.
There's not. And I sincerely apologize. But I do know what I can share with you. We have an investor group working extremely hard on getting ready as soon as all the things are settled within, whether it be one or two groups in the league, and then rock and roll from there.
Now you're talking like a man that's probably going to be back in Wichita next year. Can you give us a probability, like
no.
90?
Let me just tell you something. I am trying to help out for the good of the franchise. I still have to negotiate my contract.
Well, listen, we've got a standing offer with you anytime.
Yeah, and those 3 donuts every 2 weeks doesn't count.
Well, I thought didn't you make him an offer on the? Didn't you make him an offer for €50 a week?
Yeah.
Well,
you're
I mean, offers on the table.
I'll throw in 5.
Back to Godfather Corleone, you know. Give me an offer I can't refuse.
Because you can refuse €50 a week, right?
You know what? To be honest with you, I'm turning 55, believe it or not, on whatever the Eagle says, I'm 65. I'm not 65. I'm turning
Well,
55 on
Honestly,
Saturday.
we should probably come
Yeah.
clean about that.
it-
We should probably come clean him.
Yeah, so
We should come clean about
let
that. How that got
well,
out there.
I'll do that, and I will apologize to the Eagle sports writers who, frankly, we didn't know even covered the game until they ran with our
What Freedom
bar
said, yeah.
when John said you were 65, and we
I
all
was just
ran with it.
effing with him, Kim. I was effing with him because I'm like, you don't even look 55. I'm like, would they think this guy's 65 years old? Are you kidding me?
I only have one grandchild. I hope when I turn 65, I have 3 or 4 of them. But
Hey, listen, I got
But
a couple of them you can adopt. You want like 6 tonight?
would they adopt me?
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah,
they
they
don't
take
care.
you in a minute.
Look, it's
man.
Grandpa Kim.
No, I'm sorry, Kim. I was
Would you
screwing
guys
with
be
the
quiet
reporter.
for just a second? No, I would love to. I would love to coach for 2 or 3 more years. I really would, and I really think we have the potential here in Wichita. I think we have an investor group that is dead serious about this. I think we have sponsors that we have already talked to. That's looking into a future, and it's not just a one year deal. It's several years, and if we can get this get out of this dilemma with the 2 leagues, I think Wichita would be in a good place.
For sure. That's good news for the city. I think we have a fantastic fan base. A fan base that's been around for a long time, but also
You know what I
base.
would like to. I would like to start with 4,000 in the stands next year.
Oh,
right?
perfect.
Be great.
Absolutely.
I'm happy with that.
But I would like 10,000, and maybe Hartman Arena can't handle that, so we need to move somewhere else unless they
Expand it, right?
Put some more seats in the stand.
Oh, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah.
Take us back to some of those old Kansas Coliseum days when you played back in the day.
that would be good, and again, I think we have the potential to do that. We just need to do it the right way.
I agree.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, we appreciate you taking the time to come down and talk to us. Oh, one thing you do need to do next year, though, is, my God, get better commentators and broadcasters.
Yeah, you can't. Those 2 guys are
Those
jokers.
guys suck.
They do. They're terrible.
All right. Well, we have burned through an entire hour, but appreciate Mr. Alan Bathrop coming on, Soccer Sam, Coach Kim Roentved, Johnny Freedom, Tim Obrahim.
Sam,
We're going with
Soccer
your.
Sam.
Didn't I say Soccer?
I will
Sam?
forever
you
be
did.
my name will forever be Obrahim
It
now.
is. Oh, that's your Jewish name.
He's the bad Jew.
Yeah, and Zach Light. And
Yeah, good one.
go check us out on the web at www.footballwichitalive.com. We will have the podcast up later this evening. You
Follow
can
us on Twitter.
Oh, yeah, at Football Wichita. Go like us on Facebook.
On MySpace.
Don't
Yep.
follow me on Twitter.
We're getting ready to start a Kickstarter campaign for Coach Roentved's salary next year so we can keep him around. So you can go check that out. We'll have the podcast up on iTunes.
P.O. Box.
Yeah. So, too many jokes. I'm not going to say it. All right. Good night, everybody. Appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see everybody next Wednesday night. Thank you.